When Jesus was alive on the earth, he said a statement that to this day is very controversial. Jesus said, this is my disclaimer, bro. Not Philip Anthony Mitchell said. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No human being can come to God but through me. That Jesus said something that was very exclusive, that the only pathway to God was through him. Jesus also told us that there is only one God, who is Yahweh, and that there is no other God, and that any other God is an idol and is not a true God. Now, Jesus taught that, not Philip Anthony Mitchell. So the whole issue about is Allah God and who's God is all depends on was Jesus telling the truth or was Jesus a liar. If Jesus is credible, then there is only one God, and the scriptures gave us his name. He is Yahweh, Jehovah. If Jesus is credible, there is no other God but Yahweh. If Jesus is credible, there are no multiple pathways to God except through him. If Jesus is credible, then the pathway to God is small, narrow, and exclusive if Jesus is credible. If Jesus is not credible, then there are multiple gods. If Jesus is not credible, there are multiple pathways to God. If Jesus is not credible, then Allah and Yahweh are the same person. If Jesus is not credible, the decision we got to make is Jesus credible? Now, if a man can be crucified and buried and put in a tomb and was supernaturally raised from the dead and seen alive in history by over 400 eyewitnesses, I think that man is pretty credible, because Muhammad was a great leader, but he did not resurrect from the dead. Joseph Smith was a great leader, but he was not raised from the dead. Confucius was a leader, but he didn't. All these men were leaders, but they were not raised from the dead. But there is a man in history who is the progenitor of a major world faith who was raised from the dead and seen alive. So now we got to determine, was that man credible? I believe that that man was credible. And because I believe he's credible, I have to believe what he says. It's not about my personal opinion. It's, do I believe Jesus was credible? So let me repeat this. If Jesus is credible, not Philip Anthony Mitchell, people are going to mean me to death. If Jesus is credible, Nehemiah, then there is only one God who has a name, Jehovah, who has a name, Yahweh, who has a name, Elohim, who has a name, Lord, who has revealed himself in the pages of scripture, and that the only way to get to him is through his son, if Jesus is credible.